Hey, everyone. As you mentioned, my name is Lorenzo Jones. And so I'd like to first off just thank you for having me on this platform today. And so, as mentioned, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my career, my background, and how actually I got started. And so we can just kind of go from there. So, originally, I was born in the Midwest, actually born in Kansas City, Kansas. And so I lived there till I was about 5 years old. And so I'm actually the youngest of five. And so growing up, I was actually raised in a single parent home. So when I was about 5 years old, we actually relocated to Tulsa, Oklahoma. How we ended up there, I don't know. I was just a kid, so I just hopped in the car. And then next thing you know, we ended up living in Tulsa. And so from there, it was myself and two of my older brothers. And so from at that point, I always enjoy sketching. And so one of my older brothers, for Christmas, he ended up getting a sketchbook. And so he brought me under his wings. And so I said, okay, maybe there's something that I could continue just doing for fun, or maybe I would like to do it long term. Also, so when I was a teenager, some mom, she would bring home like the home magazines and stuff. So I was always fascinated of how they would turn a floor plan into a home. And so I just gained an interest of actually not only just sketching, but also designing homes and stuff. And so from there, began to keep practicing. And so I began to take classes at a young age. And then I actually began to find my passion. And so at the age of 15, we relocated again. So this time it was in the great state of Texas where I currently reside. And so things were a little bit different. And so this time it was just myself and my mom. And so I didn't have any male figures around or my older brother, like as you could say at the time. And so it was a bit of a challenge. And so when I was in a different state, and again, like I mentioned, it was just my mom. And as people, if you know, Texas is a different ball game than most other states. It definitely is a lot faster. But one thing I would actually say, there are actually more opportunities in Texas, especially for minorities. And so when I was in high school, I actually went to three different high schools, and that's another story. But I'll go into that a little bit later down in the platform. And so I went to one school in Oklahoma, and I went to two schools in Houston, Texas. And so my senior year, I knew that I wanted to actually get involved in architecture because one, I enjoyed working with numbers, and then two, I enjoyed drawing. And so there was one of the teachers that actually came by and asked me, he said, "Hey, are you Lorenzo?" And I said, "Yeah." And so he said, "Well, I heard that you're interested in architecture." And I said, "Well, I am." And so he said, "What schools are you thinking about?" And so at that time, I was burnt out of high school, but I knew that college was an option, or college was mandatory for me to go to. And so he asked me, so what schools are you thinking of? And so I told him, Texas Tech, UT, U of H. And so he said, well, have you thought about Prairie View? And I said, no. And so, and for one reason, I mean, is it was an HBCU. You didn't really hear too much about HBCUs. And so still, again, I knew that I had to go to school. So at that point, I decided to go to Lone Star, which was a community college. And so I did a year there at the community college, and actually it was a great opportunity because one, it wasn't as expensive of going straight off to school, and I was able to save a few bucks. And then it was actually a pivot point for me to actually transition on to university. And so I did a year at Lone Star, and then from there, I finally stepped onto the campus of Prairie View, and I will say from there on, I actually made the best decision of attending actually an HBCU for several reasons. And just to kind of break that down, the reason why I will say that going to HBCU was a great choice is because of, one, the student-teacher ratios, and especially myself, being in the field of architecture, it makes a difference when you have the professor actually spending time with the student versus you just being a number, and that you actually building those relationships with your counselors, with the professors and everyone around campus. So you actually feel part of a community or a part of a family versus going to a bigger school where you actually may feel alienated or you're not a part of something. Also, I was around like-minded people and the same people that look just like me. So therefore, I gained a better understanding and realizing there are people that look just like me that actually want something out of life instead of versus some of the stereotypes that you may hear on TV. And so therefore it was a great motivation. And just kind of moving forward, I still stay in contact with some of those same professors, as well as some of those counselors and people that are actually around campus. So I attended Prairie View from 2013 to 2018, where I had the opportunity, as far as undergrad, to finish 2 degrees in 4 years. And then the following year, actually, I obtained my master's in architecture, which was a 1 year program. So it was a great opportunity. So I was able to grab 3 degrees in 6 years. And so while I was in college, I took a class involving graphics and media. And so from there, that time, it was just a hobby. But then I said, you know what, if I can actually make money off of this, and then I, need to transition to being more professional. And so therefore, starting of 2013, actually, I started my business. And ever since then, it's actually been great. And so I've actually learned the importance of networking, realizing that your next opportunity might not be an application away. It might not be just going through the standard process of applying for a job. It may be an email, it might be a handshake, or it might be just a networking event. And you just never know the importance of, you just never know who you're running to. So that's why it's important that I recommend for people to just to treat people right, because you never know later down the line when you might need their services. And the more that you network, the more that you meet people, you actually realize that the world is actually smaller than what you really think it is. So just to go ahead and transition into as far as my career, I began to push both my career as well as my business. And so by the time that I did graduate from my undergrad, I had several offers from different architecture firms throughout Houston. And so I began to move forward, and I worked for a company which we specialized at the time in K through 12 and higher education. And so right out of college, it definitely was a great opportunity because people have what's called post-grad depression. Some people, you'd be surprised, go to school for 4 or 5 years, change their majors, and still aren't able to land on a job. And so therefore, at that point, at the age of 22, 23, I kicked off my career. And so throughout this whole time in my college career, I stayed in contact with my mentor, and it made a tremendous difference in my life because I had someone who had already walked the path that I was already on. And so I was able to avoid certain, mistakes, and I made decisions based off of that road that was already paved for me. So one of the things I definitely want to stress for people, both professionally and personally, is to find a mentor, someone that is maybe 5-10 years ahead of you in your professional career, and as well as finding a mentor that can help you out personally, and it'll definitely set you apart from your peers, and actually you'll save yourself time, save yourself money, as well as a headache, because if a person tells you what to do and what not to do, hey, listen to them. They've already been there. So don't be that person that, you have the mindset of, oh, I got to figure it out myself. You really don't have to. Someone's already done it for you. So be obedient and just listen to them. So just kind of moving forward, I've been blessed to be in the field for about 5 or 6 years now. And so my field is actually, as I mentioned, is in architecture as well as construction. And project management. And so long term, one of the things that I definitely do desire is to take my experiences and basically apply it and eventually one day open up my own architecture firm, because I definitely enjoy working with people and overall just building relationships and being able to help the next person if they come to me for a problem that they may have or something they just want to bring to life. I like to be that person, be able to say, hey, I did that, and then essentially just kind of go from there. So those are kind of some of the things that have kind of helped me on my career. And so even to this day, So still continue to work on K through 12 schools, and it's been a great opportunity. And just being able just to travel and just to gain experience. And so on some of those experiences, it's been opportunities for me to actually just travel, as well as for my business that I have doing graphic design, photography, and media. I've been blessed to be able to travel, actually travel the world. So I've gone to about 4 or 5 countries, and again, based off of just building relationships and getting to know people. And so definitely traveling has allowed me to actually broaden my perspective about life, about people, and just overall begin just to grow. And I'm the type of person that I enjoy getting in front of people. I don't know strangers. I can walk in a room with, with 10 people that I don't know, but by the end of that session or whatever that event is, I'll make sure that I connect with at least 1 or 2 people, because it's very important that you build your confidence, no matter what field that you're in, but just ensuring that you have a good self-esteem about yourself. And then also just overall just building yourself of who you are, because sometimes you'll be in an environment with people that don't look like you, or some people that, hey, might not even like you, but how do you work? How do you work in a room with other people, and then that may be against the grain of what direction that you may be going into, but also just having like those soft skills, knowing how to speak in front of people, knowing how to work with other people, learning how to agree to disagree, because that's always going to be things that you're going to have to encounter in life with. You might work with someone that, hey, you might not like their answer, or you may not like how they come across, may be an issue. However, because that individual that you have to work with, you have to make sure that, keeping in mind that whomever the client is, that they're the number one person that you actually want to keep in mind. And again, just becoming like a problem solver and realizing that the things that you're actually being taught in sometimes like the classroom, or some of the things that that you're being told, it's not all about just at that moment, but thinking about how you can apply it long term. For example, if you have a deadline, making sure that, hey, if someone says it's due tomorrow, how do you plan that out ahead of time? How many hours is this going to take? Scheduling, and just overall just having like a balance in life, whether it's professional, whether it's personal, and also just properly managing your time, making sure that you're aware of what's going on around you, other things such as conflicts that may come up, and then how do you continue to push through certain things. And so again, just stressing the importance of, no matter what field that you're in, making sure that you have soft skills, because all careers, all paths that you take, that they have all common factors that will help you along the way. And so the good thing about it is, myself, of being able to work in the field of architecture, and being able to obtain that, do it through a degree, and also have my own business. I've been able to see both sides of the field, and realizing that college is not for everyone. And I understand that, hey, that picture have always been painted to be successful. And hey, everything, the opportunities are there, but it's not for everyone. So don't feel pressured that, hey, at the age of 18, that, I got to figure I have to know what I want to do for the rest of your life. It's okay. Take your time, because at 18, that's a young age. I mean, because you'll reflect at, I'm not there yet, but 50, 60 years old, which was years ahead of you, realizing that you really do have time. And so one thing I would stress is knowing that time is on your hand, but also realizing, making sure that you don't waste your time, but take your time with everything that you do in life. So, for example, for some students or people that want to become professionals, you might want to go to a trade school. You might want to start up your own business, and just to make sure that the biggest thing is just finding like a mentor, someone that can help you out. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be a professional mentor. It can just be someone personally. It can be just a family member, someone that's always just giving you personal advice, someone that's just there for you, someone that could be encouraging you whenever you're getting discouraged about whatever that is. Does it help to have a professional mentor? It does. But however, everybody's story is different. There's certain different paths in life, knowing that you're going to fail, and making sure that you continue to have faith in yourself, making sure that you just push through, and just believing in yourself that no matter what happens, that you'll prevail through every situation that you have. And again, hey, you might figure out that some people may go off to college and say, hey, I tried it and this is not for me. However, the biggest thing is making sure whatever that you do make that first step. Sometimes the hardest step or first time, sometimes the hardest step is the first step. But once you actually take that leap of faith and realizing that the world is in your hands, that you can do anything that's possible. And then essentially just kind of going from there. So there's a lot of things that have actually just kind of helped me on my path of kind of where I'm at today. And so I'll talk to you guys about some of the challenges that I've had, just working in corporate America, me being young, me being a minority. And so some of the challenges that I've had, is one, just me being young and possibly people that have more experience than me, or maybe kind of second guessing maybe some of my answers based off of my experience. And so sometimes there's a balance between you playing naive, but then also making sure that you're sure about whatever answer that you have. But that's why it's important to make sure that you ask questions, and continuously building those relationships. And also just realizing that as a young professional or just young individual, making sure that you understand that you don't know it all, which is the beautiful thing of life. Beautiful thing about life is making sure that you continuously grow. There's a saying, you only know what you know and you don't know what you don't know. And so as long as you're continuously just growing and making sure that you don't become stagnant, it's very important that you continuously grow. One of the second thing was myself being a minority and walking in a room full of people that don't look like me. And sometimes you may have, mental, there may be some factors that maybe affect your mind and maybe affect your emotions. But the biggest thing is making sure that you believe in yourself. And so just from a personal experience, some of the factors that I've come upon that would be, again, working in a room and me being a minority, about however, just being the best that you can be, and just overall just enjoying yourself. Some other factors have possibly just been, I guess, just time management. And so again, some of the soft skills that you may think that may not matter, but overall, it's really just practice. Things come with experience. So making sure that you feel as though that you won't have it all the first couple of years of whatever field that you walk into. And again, just making sure that someone is there by your side is to always continue to push yourself and continue to make sure that you're goal oriented and making sure that you write things down, so you can actually track, hey, this is what I've accomplished, this is what I didn't accomplish. And so how do you stay on track with what's going on in your life? And so there have been several challenges, but one thing I will say is making sure that you do have fun. You have the whole world ahead of you, for sure. Everybody's life, everybody's situation is different, but making sure that that you just enjoy the ride. You might hear saying that life is not a sprint; it definitely is a marathon. Again, as I mentioned earlier, just taking your time and enjoying everything that you do. Worst case scenario, hey, relationships do come, they come and go. But overall, making sure that you continue to push yourself and just to continue to prevail in life. And so also realizing that your career, whatever that you do, that's only one aspect of your life. There's so many other things going on in life. Like I said, having fun, traveling the world. I cannot stress the importance of going to go see the world, trying new foods, realizing that there are other people that look just like you, but operate completely different. Just great weather. Some of the countries that I've been to, Belize, Dominican, Honduras, Mexico, and just those, but 4 or 5 countries. It's been a great experience. Some I've actually had paid for, just opportunities of just being able to network with people. And so when I come back to the States, I just grind harder. I just grind harder and harder because I realize how blessed I am as an American, and realizing that we do have it made in this country. And so therefore, again, if you have the opportunity, please get a passport. Get a passport, mark it up, stamp it, and go see the world. And making sure really that you just overall just enjoy life, stay focused, find a small group of friends around you. And if you can, maybe start a business, because as you know, that there are rough times in the economy where, hey, sometimes that career that you might have, you might get let go, and things do happen. And so whenever those situations, what can you rely off of? Maybe a skill, maybe a type of service that is demand in the economy, and then just continue just moving forward. Definitely encourage people just to be well-rounded as much as possible. Not being afraid of people, because we're all supposed to be here to love, to help each other out, and just to be there for each other. So again, my name is Lorenzo Jones, and thank you for this opportunity. But as you're going through your career, just making sure, again, that find a mentor, listen to people, get involved in programs such as this one. And whether it's 1 minute, whether it's 30 seconds, whatever that it is, take it and run with it, because there's so many opportunities out here that the previous generation did not have, that you as an individual coming up with technology within the palm of your hands, that the sky really is the limit. You can do whatever that it is, and all you have to do is continuously just to believe in yourself and to have faith and live life and have fun.